We made it.
Yes, we're here.
Another episode with a bunch of Valiant cups.
Now, Jason, are you drinking tea out of yours?
Coffee.
Coffee. Oh, it's
My gosh.
It's 8 o'clock where I'm at, so I having coffee. There's water in mine. I just assumed tea because you're Southern comic geek. And,
yeah. When I had a kidney stone a few years ago, I kind of ditched the tea thing. Although, as I understand, coffee's not near as that great for you either. So,
well, it's better than sweet tea.
So welcome everyone to TLDR. I don't know how the heck this happened, but now we got our third show. So Jason and I were just, our friends within the whole like comic art scene, and we keep running into each other on even like stuff we're picking up and oh man, you got that. Oh man, you got that. And then when we would, kind of go to these comic shows, lastly was at Heroes and Baltimore and all these shows, we would just always talk Valiant. And so we just figure, man, as a follow-up, instead of just like chatting on the phone by ourselves, why not just like include the whole crew into it? And so today we have a very special guest. Obviously, Jason, you know Jeremiah better than I, so why don't you do the honors and introduce our guest today?
Well, this guy right here has cost me a lot of money.
No, we cost each other a lot of money. You're like the worst influence ever, dude.
I like to consider myself an inspiration.
Inspiration. Well, I guess you could put it that way. So how I met him, I think it was on Instagram, wasn't it? Where you started posting this thing that we'll probably talk about later. And how he was doing that. And I'm like, dude, that is so awesome. Like, where'd you get that? So I was able to get it, pick it up on the cheap. And what has not been cheap is all the extra pages with some ink on them. And we've shared back and forth the pages we were getting, like, okay, who are you going to get to fill this one up? And who are you going to get to draw this character?
To be fair, my wife paid $120 for my book because she bought it right when it was released. And you paid what, $30?
Yeah.
$10. Did you pay $10? Did you say
it was $10 or $30 because it was a huge sale. And so when I was telling Carl about it in Baltimore, our Heroes one, I was like, dude, it's so cheap. Well, he pulls it up on his phone. It's not that cheap anymore. It's not as expensive as what you were talking about, but they've run out of the thing. So
yeah. But I will do some live shopping today. I promise. I'm on the cart. And I'm going to be part of the Valiant Cup Club.
Yeah, it seems like you got to get yourself a cup.
Book Club. Yeah, the Book of Geomancers Club. So, I mean, one of the things that we do here is we like to, honestly, our friend Stingray, Nolan, who, man, he's gonna be on his way, Jason, on the show because he just finished all of the first run of Shadow Man.
Okay. Has he told you what he thought? Like any kind
of... he was a little confused about the aliens, how whoever bit. And I was like, look, just read EXO now. And he started EXO and he was like, dude, I just finished EXO 0. This thing is rad. And so I'm super excited for him to just kind of, at some point, we'll get him on the show. Because
people to go through the original Valiant runs is amazing. Because most people, A, don't realize that they are so in depth. And B, they are getting kind of harder to find now, which is good and bad at the same time.
I noticed that. I didn't realize some of the trades, like the early like Archer and Armstrong trades that were printed on nicer paper and whatnot. It's like $300 now. And then I was able to help him find one at the bookstore for like $30 in Chicago that he had a friend pick up for him. But with that said, this was heavily inspired by Nolan, where he's like, where do we start? So we're like, all right, TLDR. And when we start our episode, we really focus on like what our personal Valiant stories are. And so if you want to hear Jason's or mine, go back to episode 1. And you'll hear kind of how we discover Valiant and what it means to us. So now, your turn, Jeremiah. What was your Valiant story?
My Valiant story might be slightly sad. So when I was a kid, when I was 9 years old, I experienced a house fire. Lost everything. Now, I didn't have much to begin with. I was 9 years old. But in doing so, we got moved to a neighboring town. And like we started kind of rebuilding our life and went to a flea market. And this guy was hawking comics at a flea market. And my mother would not buy us anything that she didn't deem necessary. But this guy was doing long boxes for $20. And I have a twin brother. And she said, if you guys split it, I'll do it. So we each get half of a long box. And being 9 years old, I think the coolest thing in the world is Spawn. So I run to the Spawn section and I just start throwing Spawn into this box until I get it halfway full. Not paying attention. And when I got home, I got 2 Spawn books, but I got the entire first run of Shadow Man. I got
Whoa, you
0
too,
to
huh?
43 of Shadow Man. And so I absolutely fell in love with it. And so when I finally was able to convince my mom to take me to a comic book store, we're talking 2002, 2003 now. When I asked the store clerk, "Do you got any Valiant?" Rolling of his eyes, like quarter bins, and just I dug through the quarter bins, got Exo, got Solar, got Secret Weapons, a good run of Rye, a good run of Bloodshot. Obviously, those later issues were super hard to find, but I got, because all the earlier issues are in abundance. And it was really nice to attach to this superhero universe that wasn't Marvel, that wasn't DC. And then also to like how connected it was. Like if someone broke their arm in Harbinger, when they showed up in Hardcore, it was still broken. Like that stuff was really, really cool when I was younger. And then obviously Valiant died and moved on, discovered girls. I ended up selling my comic collection when I went to college to pay for 1 textbook.
Wow! Oh my God! So I was gonna ask, did you get your 25 cents per book? So I guess you
I got
less.
I got 1 textbook. College didn't work out. I was there on a sports scholarship and I tore my left shoulder off. I have 8 screws in my left shoulder.
All right, man.
So I came home. And when I came home, I was doing as many odd jobs as I could, and I was volunteering at a comic book store, and that was Summer Valiant. And so getting right back into it, Harbinger, Bloodshot, Archer Armstrong, and Exo. Now, Shadow Man always has been, always will be my dude. I will eventually have a Shadow Man tattoo right here. I'm still just trying to decide what head version to get. And I will never forget the day that they announced that Shadow Man was coming back. Jason, it's your birthday? Happy birthday!
No, it's not. It's Captain Comics. We're always, if I catch him in the chat, I'll catch him and say happy birthday, and then everybody starts saying happy birthday to everybody, and that's the purpose of it.
Okay, well then, happy birthday!
Well, happy birthday, everyone!
I don't know how many people know this, but the day that Valiant announced the 2012 Valiant Entertainment announced the return of Shadow Man. It was overshadowed by a much bigger announcement. Marvel was doing this movie with characters no one ever heard of before called Guardians of the Galaxy. So the day Guardians was announced was also the day that Shadow Man was announced that he was coming back. And I remember it because it was on Bleeding Cool. And when they announced that Guardians was going to be a movie, and I'm sitting there on my laptop in my apartment, it's like I know who the Guardians are. Comics fans know who the Guardians are, but who the hell is going to go to a Guardians movie that isn't a comics fan? And I saw in the bottom right hand, like next article was the new Shadow Man face. And I didn't even read it. I just knew that was going to be Shadow Man. And I just threw my laptop across the room in excitement and immediately called my LCS to be like, you have to order this. Because I desperately wanted one of the black, one of 500, which there's probably more than 500 of those. The Shadow Man like preview. So
is it like a black cover like they did for Solar 10?
No, it's not that. They did do that.
Yeah.
With issue 1, which this is that in a CGC 9.8, just complete blackout. But they did it was a slipcase with the Patrick Zilcher cover art, and then it was the first 12 pages, black and white with no text. It was their first one of 500 things that was given to specific retailers. I have one in CGC 9.8 buried somewhere, but yeah, and I've just been hooked again ever since. So yes, it came in a sleeve.
Yep.
Yeah. So
wow. So was that I gotta ask too, was that relaunched the Justin Jordan version or
the Justin Jordan Patrick Zilcher?
Got it.
16 issue run, which ended with Peter McGillen and Roberto De La Rey. I can't pronounce his last name. And then we got End Times, and then Shadow Man disappeared for a long time. which upset me. And I don't know. Did you guys ever do New York Comic Con? So
I did. I just came back from it.
well, I was there Thursday.
Okay, cool.
And
We should have met up. Oh man, I wish I knew.
We didn't know. It was 2016. I went to the Valiant panel.
Okay.
And someone asked a question about like where Shadow Man had been. And Hunter, but this was back when Hunter was a part of the company. He's like, oh, he's been gone for like over a year. And I got up, I was like, he's been gone for 643 days. I had it exact.
Oh my gosh.
Because
by then, 2016, was Dinesh do part of it, or was it?
Dinesh was on his way out. It was it was New York, and then by January of 2017, I think Dinesh was gone. And DMG.
So it's pretty recent. Wow, that's crazy. Because it was my first New York Comic Con that I started collecting comic art was New York Comic Con 2017.
Yeah, so that was a big mistake. Because comic art is expensive.
I know.
I mean, you have a Bruce Timm behind you? Like, god damn.
I do. It's a Joker. Yeah, it's a problem.
He's got some huge pieces.
Yeah,
Valiant related ones too.
Yeah, I mean, it's fun. I think I wish I started Valiant earlier, but I think when I started, I was collecting I would say really like in a really lazy way, because it was more following like the new art reps and what they're promoting, and like, well, that's cool, I'll buy that, and like it was just really supporting some of the artists as well. So I didn't know what the heck I was doing, but as I got deeper into it, I realized I could go back into the world of nostalgia and like grab pieces that we grew up loving. That's awesome.
So I have to ask, do you have a Barry Windsor Smith page?
I do.
Son of a bitch.
Yeah.
Oh, he's got a cover.
A few, yeah. I got a few. But enough about me. So Jeremiah, so your Valiant story. So Shadow Man, 2016, and then when you got into Shadow Man, obviously you paid a quarter for each of them. So maybe like 1/8 or 1/4 the price of what we paid. Did you then go and like bought everything else? Like, did you go back through the whole? I mean, this for Noel too.
That I could.
Yeah. So from Shadow Man, where did you go next? Do you remember what the books were and which ones pulled you in more than others?
Shadow Man and then Exo, because what the comic book store that I went to, who was really annoyed that I was asking for Valiant, suggested Exo because his exact words were, "It's the Marvel Big Three combined." I'm like, what? And he's like, "Oh, it's a Man Out of Time, Captain America, a Visigoth, similar to Thor, and a suit of armor, Iron Man." So, I get all three in one? Yeah, that sounds cool. And then, of course, you had Joe Quesada artwork on Exo Zero, which you could use as, I mean, just the amount of copies that exist is kind of insane. I do want to put a caveat. If I randomly scream during this, it's because I have a new kitten who loves to climb. She's being really nice at the moment, but we'll see what happens. I got into Solar a lot. Like Solar is one of my go-tos for sure now. I would love for Solar to come back. Gold Key is back.
Are they?
Gold Key is back. Yep. Gold Key came back in 2020. It is owned by a hacker now, and they did Boris Koloff, and then they've done one other series since. So
they've done the Kickstarter thing. With those.
Yeah.
So are they? Okay, so they're doing more Kickstarter stuff. So does that mean they got the rights back for Solar?
They do own the rights to all the Western publishing stuff. So they do own the rights to Magnus, they do own the rights to Solar, and they do own the rights to Turok.
So cool. I mean, didn't Dynamite have a run at those three titles?
Dynamite licensed Western publishing, which is why we got Souvenirs and Gold Key Alliance, and then we got those three series, Magnus, Turok, and Solar, which I loved. Believe it or not, I loved the Solar from Dynamite, even though I was never a fan of Nick Barucci. And after your guys' last episode, I'm less of a fan of Nick Barucci like him trying to sneak in with the Valiant sneak peek. I didn't know the history of that. I didn't know that was Nick behind that. So that kind of blew my mind a little
You
bit.
know, the crazy thing on the Turoks of Dynamite were okay. Ron Morris was writing. Bart Sears did a lot of the art for it.
Mhm.
But then they did like these whole swap things where like now all of a sudden Turok wasn't a Native American anymore. He was now a black guy. And I was like,
Wait, what? When did this happen?
I didn't read the Turok run. Was that
so
in
it's the last one. So I think there was like 3 volumes
yeah, okay.
of it. And then so like Magnus, I think they did a similar thing with Magnus. He Magnus we know dies at the end of that issue, which that was an interesting take on how they did Magnus. And Solar was okay too, but
I liked the female Solar. I liked Erica because she wasn't smart and she relied on her dad to like kind of help her still as a spiritual guide.
kind of like an Obi-Wan Kenobi type.
Wait,
yeah.
Solar becomes a female. So is it Erica Pierce?
No, it's
Okay.
Erica.
Okay,
No,
Erica
but
Pierce
I imagine the name was used because of
Yeah.
Erica Pierce, right? So
Okay,
Erica
yeah.
Stintek, I think, is the name.
Okay. And then Magnus, I thought Magnus would have been the one that becomes a girl because he wears a mini skirt, so like it'd be so easy. but you know, hair on him, be like he's transgender now, you know.
Right.
Magnus.
Well, you know, talking about Magnus, you know, the Gold Key original OG Magnus 1 cover is on Heritage.
Right now?
What?
Yeah.
No. What
It's
the heck?
I think it starts next month, but it's on there now. You can see it in the preview.
It's a painted cover. It's going to go for a stupid amount.
Oh,
what
it
is
went a
our
few years
language level here before I start cussing on X?
We can say what we want. We're pretty chill here.
One
It's,
of the cool things
Hang out
going
among
back,
friends.
going back and reading the old Gold Key Solar, is I found out a really, really interesting footnote about the Gold Key Solar. So if you were to say that Solar looks like any Marvel character, what character would you say?
Cyclops. I just
Cyclops.
learned this as well. I won't spoil it for you, but you go for it.
So
Cyclops.
who appeared first?
Solar.
But in the costume, who appeared first?
because he didn't get in his costume to what, issue 2 or 3, right?
Issue 5.
Okay. So you're saying by then Stan Lee had done?
They were released on the same day.
Oh,
what the heck?
X-Men 1 and Solar 5 were released on the exact
No way! Isn't that crazy? Like they've been around for such a long time, and yet like these characters for some reason was either mismanaged or will have to kind of come to light in their own different way. But I felt like Gold Key had such impact through these different deals.
And like with Solar was Gold Key's first ever title. It was their first toe dip back into let's try superheroes, but let's stay sci-fi because superheroes hadn't kicked off again yet.
Right.
Like if you read the first 4 issues of Solar, it is really just a sci-fi book. And then with the 5th issue, he decides to be a hero of sorts. And that's when we get the like superhero version of Solar. But also the backup story in those original Dark Horse books was Professor Harbinger.
mm-hmm.
So is that where Jim got the idea for Harbinger?
Which is interesting because Harbinger is still considered a Valiant or a DMG property.
Yeah.
As opposed to a Gold Key property. Yes. So whatever happened to Dr. Eclipse?
Dr. Eclipse is still, it does belong to DMG.
DMG, yeah, because it's like a derivative that they created.
Yep.
So speaking of wow, Gold Key, I don't believe this is freaking here. This is gonna be insane.
Oh yeah.
Wow.
I have a sketch of H8 in this book I will discuss later.
Yeah, I think Dinesh doesn't go for this. He loves Magnus.
Oh, who's to say he don't, right?
Yeah.
Add it to the war chest,
if you had his money, why wouldn't you?
Yeah, he's gonna rock out for sure. Okay, so we go back to your story, Jeremiah. So you went through EXO, and then What was it like reading Unity? You know, I would say even in a vacuum in a way, right? Because you weren't in the midst of all the
I got to
promotion,
read
the
it all at
hype.
once.
Yeah,
I got to read it all at once. And like my favorite part is because I read Shadow Man all the way through.
Okay.
And the issues 4 and 5 of Shadow Man are the Unity tie-ins. I was very confused.
Mhm.
Yeah, so that's what Noel said too. He said it was wonky. He was like, "What the heck's going on?"
Yeah,
Like,
this is just out of nowhere. He's in another world and like
Yeah.
this, that, and the other. And so, like when I finished Shadow Man and I started getting more into it, what I loved about Unity is Shadow Man is such an important part of Unity. Like he is one of the reasons that Mother God fails, kind of. So, like, like this hero that I love, that if you look at Shadow Man, the 43 issues in a vacuum, he crosses over 6 times. Other than that, he's left to his own devices for the majority of his run.
Yeah, that's true.
So
that's what I like about him too. All these contained stories.
Yeah, he touches base with Dr. Mirage. He touches base with Argent Armstrong. He touches base with Exo. But at the end of it, he's on his own, being a hard traveling hero, and being the best that he can. So the fact that like this whole universe has this huge mythos behind it, and this guy from New Orleans kind of fucked up the whole plan a little bit with Mother God and Solar, like that's awesome. That's all. Like you can do anything you set your mind to, even though you didn't mean to do it.
Rye died as a result of Shadow Man. So
wait, was that what happened? Wait, hold on. Is it because of him?
Yeah. So Shadow Man or Erica's getting beat by Solar. Like he's put the whooping on her, be done with it. Shadow Man jumps out and takes blows to Solar,
thinking that Solar was the villain.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I remember he tackles him, right? He
distracts him long enough for Erica to get her wits about her, grab Solar, and then for that she kind of resurrects or heals Shadow Man. For the
regenerates. Yeah. So reading Unity in a vacuum, it's interesting how it still holds up. It's still a fantastic story, and it's one of those things that is kind of pooed on in terms of like realtors, like because it was so highly printed and it was right at the boom. And so they either made bank or they lost all their money on it, which I think that's one of the reasons why realtors were so when it comes to Valiant, is because if they've been around since the early 90s, they may have gotten screwed. And if they weren't around during the 90s, they've only heard negative things before the 2012 relaunch. And even then, like with the 2012 relaunch, if they didn't do a good job in promoting it, they probably didn't sell that much. But it was so good. The talent that they had coming in 2012 all the way up until about 2016 was fantastic. I would read shampoo labels that were written by Matt Kint and Robert Venditti. Like really though. And like the artwork, even like just with the variant covers, like Riley Ramoso and Carrie Nord and all these amazing, talented creators. Now, I have an obsession, if you couldn't tell by the sign behind me, with Paulo Rivera. So when he was announced on The Valiant, I honestly thought I was in a coma. I legit thought that I had like fallen asleep and there's no way that this is real, because like my guy being put on like a flagship Valiant title, like I could not believe it. And like at the time I was not making much money. I was working at a comic book store, I was delivering mattresses, and I was working a seafood counter. I had 3 jobs. Wow,
you're a hustler, man.
I had 3 jobs just to try to make ends meet. And I told myself, Paulo's first Shadow Man, I'm buying that. Whatever page that is, I'm buying that page. And it never happened. But he was supposed to be in the Valiant. They made him take him out of the Valiant. He was on the monitor. He's supposed to be on the monitor in Neville's like base in the Valiant. And Paulo did a rough draft of it. And they asked him to take Shadow Man out. And so if you go back to that page, it is replaced with the splash page where the Eternal Warrior is bashing in the Immortal Enemy with the axe. It's the same page. It's an issue 3, so it's the page from issue 2 that is replayed on the monitor. That
That's
makes
so
me
cool.
sad to know that was supposed to be where Shadow Man was in the Valiant.
Oh
'Cause
man, that sucks.
He doesn't
But at
appear
the
in
same time,
any
like,
other page.
it-
Yeah, so
it's really cool hearing about the Valiant because basically the Valiant replaced Secret Weapon, right? They are
So-
the new version of it. Is that
so
what it
that's
was?
one of the things that bothered me at New York 2015. They were doing
Yeah.
the panel,
Okay.
and they mentioned that the Valiant was happening.
Okay.
And Matt Kint leaned forward and said that the Valiant had a different name before they decided on the Valiant.
Hmm.
So, and then Warren Simmons is like, we're not going to say it because we might eventually use it. And I think it was supposed to be Secret Weapons.
Oh,
And so
interesting.
I asked Paulo, and Paulo said when he signed on, it was already called the Valiant. He had signed on when there was already 3 issues written.
Got
So,
it.
Yes. Yep. So the screen that has Galad on it was supposed to be Shadow Man.
All right, so you were in a very unique situation, Jeremiah, because for me, my exposure was really like the old school Valiant. I wasn't there for like the 2012 the relaunch and everything else. So I this whole like stream has been a great way for me to learn about it, and it's on my list of like reads to catch up on Dinesh's regime, like to really read all the stuff that he did, because I don't know him that way. I know him more personally. But what was it like working in the comic book shop, knowing with your kind of background of reading the old school Valiant and then seeing all this new stuff come out? Did you find yourself feeling like you had to be like the evangelist for Valiant as far as
in a
the
way,
and did
in a
people
way-
care about the two worlds, the old school and the new school, or did they not care at all?
See, they didn't care at all to an extent because, like, oh, does it matter? I was like, it doesn't matter yet, but it might matter. So, and the thing that Valiant hasn't done, at least to my knowledge from everything that I've read, is alternate universes don't exist in Valiant, which I desperately wish they did. Which, like, Alien, call me. I have a great idea. But being able to, like, managing a comic book store and being able to talk people into getting Valiant, Harbinger was the easiest thing to get people on board with.
Really?
Like, with Harbinger, I was like, do you like mutants? This is mutants, but better. And I told everyone that I gave them issue 1 of Harbinger. I was like, hey, take this home. If you're not interested in issue number 2, I will buy it back from you at twice the price.
Oh.
I sold, I think, 33 copies of Harbinger number 1, and I bought back 0. Harbinger ended up being one of the biggest pulled books at the store I was managing. It was beating Walking Dead. It was beating X-Men. It was not beating Spider-Man. It was not beating Batman, but it was up there. So when I got their confidence on with Harbinger, I was like, oh, Shadow Man's coming. You guys got to read Shadow Man. And I love Justin Jordan's run of Shadow Man, don't get me wrong, but like the way that Joshua Dysart did Harbinger, the way that Robert Venditti did EXO, those were fucking peaks. Matt Kint, Ninjak, peaks. Like, we were living through the golden age, the literal golden age of Valiant without realizing it.
Wow. Did you feel the same, Jason? I mean, did you feel the new Harbinger and the new EXO, rival that of the old school that we grew up with?
Well, when I read from the EXO, thinking about the old EXO of past, it's hard, and a lot of the entertainment companies today are having that problem, right? Is to bring in the new reader by modernizing some things without alienating the old reader.
Yeah.
It's that balancing act. And, as far as I'm concerned, I mean, Dinesh and the crew, just like what he was saying, just magnifique. Robert Venditti's like a master class in how to make a character go from, some Conan the Barbarian type to a warrior king. And so, yeah, I mean, it was fantastic stuff. So it had enough of the old flavor to it, but enough of the modernization where they kind of tweak some things, because hindsight's always 20/20. You can go back and look and say, yeah, that wasn't all that great. Some things don't hold up, but so they kind of tweak those things. But yeah, it was fantastic.
One of the things when reading the Robert Venditti run on EXO, when they brought in Ninjak and how they brought in Ninjak was mind blowing.
How they bring in Ninjak?
So he's sent to hunt. So when Eric comes back to Earth and he's reclaiming Rome in the name of the Visigoths, their MI8 is like, oh shit, like we don't know what we're dealing with. Let's send in our best agent. And that's when they send in Ninjak. So you get the preview that Ninjak's going to be hunting Eric. And I remember when that came out, because it was issue 5 that Ninjak came back in. And it was Wednesday. Issue comes out. I'm doing polls. People are coming in buying books. I haven't got to read it yet. I didn't read it the night before because I was too busy with everything. And one of my regulars grabs it and he's like, oh, Exode 5, awesome. I'm really excited to see where this goes. And he leaves. He comes back an hour later. He's like, who the fuck is this? And just has the Ninjak image that's at the end of issue 5 pulled up and is like, oh my God. Because I didn't know it was coming. So it got completely spoiled for me. But the way that they brought him back was such a yes, because Ninjak originally fights Bloodshot in the original run that he was introduced in Bloodshot, correct? So
I believe so. Yeah. And so when you were diving into all this, even Ninja. Actually, real quick question: was he Ninja K at the time, or was he Ninjak still?
He was Ninjak. He was Ninjak. They did Ninja K. That was the third volume. Yeah.
Okay. Anyways, it's just a side question. But okay, cool. So we're midway through. You've shared your story and your journey, and obviously some of the highlights. Now, if there's a new reader out there that is checking out this stream for the first time and wants the TLDR, like where would you recommend they start now? Because it seems like you're pretty deep into that. What do you call that, Jason? That Dinesha's regime was that called?
The VEI.
VEI, okay, VEI. Yeah. So you're pretty deep in the VEI, right? So would you recommend that they start there, or would you still say, hey, go all the way back and read the other stuff first?
I would recommend starting the VEI just because it's more modern and it is still told in those 6-issue chunks where you can have the 6 issues. It's a trade, and then you can pick up the next trade versus the old issues where a lot of them were one-offs in a way. Like the story continued through, but it was villain of the week in a way, which is fine. It's a wonderful way of reading it. The original Shadow Man 43 issue run, I still think is one of the best runs in comics personally. Issue 38 was a like one-shot story that I still cry when I read it. It's about them raising funds for a funeral in New Orleans. Like Jack is going around town, like helping people to raise funds for a guy who passed away. No, wait, it's not 38. It's 36 or 39. Why did I forget the number?
6.
I'll know. Nope. Try 39. Try 39. Okay, I know 30. The cover by heart. So, it's got a guy playing trumpet.
39.
That's it.
Okay, cool. Yeah. So what was the story here? What happened?
A man passes away and they are raising funds for his funeral, essentially. So Jack is like just protecting the city. And I believe it's told through this perspective of another character. It's not even Jack as the main character, I don't think. So I remember, cool. Funeral rap. Yep. So
who was the artist at the time?
Obviously Bob. Bob did all of it. So, well, the majority.
Oh, yeah, he did. Wow, Bob did the whole run, or majority of the run, right?
36 issues. He did 36 of the 43. And the one conversation I had with Bob, which was really funny, is Steve Ditko did issue 6. He did the pencils on issue 6, and Bob Hall is credited for writing it. And Bob self-admits he had nothing to do with the issue. They just put his name on it because he had just signed on right after Unity. So
that's hilarious.
Bob's first real issue was issue 8. So
I did read I think Justin Jordan's run, and it was just very different for me. And I think I spoke to Justin about it and asked why. And I think the take that they had for it was more of like turning him into more of a superhero, because I think and I did had a mini conversation with Dennis about it, and he was saying how and we'll ask him more when we actually have him here. Is the first Shadow Man he thought didn't have like strong enough identity of where his powers come from, and so they were very.
It was a mystery for the longest time.
Yeah,
So,
and they were intentional about creating that lore and making sure there's some foundation there, which makes a lot of sense. But personally, I love that mystery. I love that you don't know, and he doesn't know either. Like,
one of the best things about Justin Jordan's run is it's issue 5 before we see Master Dark, and the first time that Jack sees him, he literally says, "I know you from somewhere." And like, to me, he knows him because he feels the connection with like the energy of the low and the dead side, because he isn't fully in tune with the Arbiters, haven't clued him in on everything going on yet, and Doc is being very vague still, and Mr. Twist is being Mr. Twist, and he just kicked his ass. So, I got a handle on this. Who the fuck are you? Like that was such a good taste of the Justin Jordan run. But then they like changed the character context, especially with issue 13. And Peter McGillen's run was fine, but at the same time was like, this is not exactly what was just going on for the last 12 issues. If I could write any character, I would love to do a Shadow Man story. I have a perfect one in the back of my head that I would love to pitch one day. Because I feel like he isn't utilized enough. Obviously we got the new stuff coming out. Hopefully this holds up. We'll see. But as for a new reader, okay, so if you want to get into Valiant, my suggestion to you is the 2012 X-O Manowar run. It's 50 issues long. If that doesn't hook you, I don't know what will. It's absolutely fantastic. You cannot go wrong with it. It's all right here in beautiful deluxe editions.
Volume 3.
Yep.
This run, right?
Yes, that run. The artwork is killer. I mean, Assad Ribic on the very first cover. Kerry Nord on interiors.
Woo! That's a nice cover right there, dude.
Yeah, beautiful. That's a Kerry Nord cover, I believe. It's everything that you need. Enter Ninjak. There we go. Let's go.
Nice.
That was Miko Suyan.
Was that Miko?
Wow. Yep, that's Miko. That's Miko. No, that's Doug Braithwaite. That's Doug Braithwaite.
Okay.
That's Diego Bernard.
They did do a good job of modernizing the armor for sure.
Yes.
Yeah.
Sorry,
my computer's lagging a little bit. What happened here? Oh my god.
Well, you got to read it to find out.
Planet Death. That's a bad idea book.
It is, isn't it?
Like they might have. Like they might have heard that title before. Yeah.
There we go. That's hilarious. Planet Death. These are great covers, actually. I'm gonna dive into the 6-0 run because I actually have not read it at all.
It is fantastic.
Yeah.
There is almost no weak issue, I feel.
Wow.
Yeah.
I don't know what deal Robert Venditti made with the Devil or Master Dark in order to be able to write a nearly perfect run of EXO, but he nailed it.
Wow.
He absolutely nailed it. I think that will be the benchmark series for Valiant for the foreseeable future. Obviously, with Alien, we don't know what's going to be happening. But anyways, so new reader, read EXO. If you want to get into Shadow Man specifically, I would suggest the Andy Diggle run. So this would be Shadow Man Volume 5. Yes, Volume 5. Andy Diggle wrote it.
And Volume 2 was Garth, right? Garth Ennis?
Garth Ennis started that with Ashley Wood.
How was that?
Which I actually have an Ashley Wood original.
Nice. All right. Well, perfect transition. We're gonna move into our show and tell. What are some of your greatest Valiant prizes, Jeremiah? I mean, unless Jason has anything else to ask you, I think we can.
No, I fully agree on the EXO, and as far as the because the watermark was so high. I mean, the next EXO after that's good, but
the Matt Kent run is good. Don't get me wrong,
it's not great.
They had to take it in another direction because they couldn't. We can't run parallel to this because it just went straight up.
Mhm.
Um, Lemire's Bloodshot, another similar thing where they had to go in an opposite direction once Lemire took over because he did such a good job with it. Analog Man, that 4 issue like sub story in Bloodshot Reborn, it paid homage to the original run of Shadow Man with the cult of Shadow Man. It paid homage to Mad Max. Like Jeff Lemire did an amazing job, and that was Louis LaRosa artwork on it too. So like, can't go wrong. Anyways, show and tell. So I do got some Valiant pieces. I'm not as pricey as you boys are, but I do have an original Ashley Wood. I bought this off of someone off of comicartfans.com. It was not for sale, but I was like, dude, I need this.
Yeah, if you need it, you need it. You gotta make it happen.
So he sold it to me, and then I sent him, like, the moment it showed up, I put it in a frame. He's like, dude, that's so nice, because it was just sitting in my portfolio, which I don't know how people can have artwork just sitting in a portfolio, but then again, that's me. I have Lee Gabert's pencils from Shadow Man issue number 5.
Nice.
Specifically, this is the introduction to the Book of Shadow Man. So I believe he inks digitally. So the final page looks quite different, but yeah, I absolutely love this. And then obviously I have an obsession with Paulo Rivera. I've mentioned I got this commission from him in 2017.
Ooh, that's nice. That's really nice.
On his website, when he previewed this, some people commented, "Is that bathroom sign man?" And that just shows you that people aren't cultured.
Yo, that's hilarious.
So,
real quick though, I didn't ask earlier, Jeremiah. Why Paulo Rivera? Like, why was there any reason? Something he did that just like really hit you in the heart? Because
good question.
You got a line of him behind you, dude.
Going to be sad again. So I've struggled with depression my entire life, and especially when I left college. I left college due to an injury, and like my whole identity was kind of shattered. Like my plans for life were just dashed right in front of me. And so when I came home and I started working at the comic book store, one of the characters I loved, if we're going to go into Marvel, is Daredevil. And so he was on Daredevil at the time. And that run on Daredevil Volume 3, Mark Waid and Paulo Rivera. If you're going through something, I suggest reading that, because it will make you feel like you're not alone and that everything is going to be okay, even if it's not okay right now. Yeah. And being able to hear that voice saying that it's all right, everything's going to be all right, is wonderful. So I connected so well with his artwork on Daredevil specifically. And I had a friend who got obsessed with Scotty Young, and we would go to comic book stores every week. We'd go on like a tour, go up 50 miles at every store that was nearby, and then come home. And he'd be searching for Scotty Young covers the whole way through. And probably like 2 months into doing that, I decided, you know what, I'm going to try to collect all of Paulo Rivera's work, because he's not as popular. There's not as much of it. It's cheaper. And it makes me happy. Collect what makes you happy. At the end of the day, that's what we're all trying to do, right? So I made it my specific goal to collect every Paulo Rivera cover he's ever done. And at the moment, I am sitting at... I have a spreadsheet. I am sitting at 429 different covers.
Whoa, that's hardcore. How many covers has he done? Have you tracked at all or no?
400. Well, he's done 429. I'm technically missing 2, and the 2 I'm missing I shouldn't count. One of them I shouldn't count at all. The other one is annoying. So he did a Red Sonia cover. It was his second cover ever, and they have a red foil version of it that there's only 100 in existence. And it's 15 years old. No, it's almost 20 years old at this point. One sold during the pandemic for $14. I missed it.
Damn.
And the other one is the Unity Golden Ticket. Do you know what the Unity Golden Ticket is, Carl?
I have no idea what that is. Please.
Jason, do you know what the Unity Golden Ticket is?
I don't know what it is. Go ahead.
Oh my God. So when Unity #1 was launched in 2013, they released 5 copies of Unity with a special barcode that just read Unity Golden Ticket. Now, as you can see here, 3 of them have been found.
Wow.
2 of them have not been found. Paulo's is one of the ones that hasn't been found. And I think Brian Hitch is the other one that hasn't been found. Yeah. And if you notice, but if you look down at the bottom, you can see the 5 covers that were released with the golden ticket promotion. The 2 that have not been found, do you notice something about those 2?
Something about those 2 that is not the question marks.
So that means that they haven't been found. They don't know where they are.
Okay. Is there something else we're looking for?
Yes.
Okay.
So where does it say that the Unity golden ticket?
Oh, on the barcode. It's not in the front.
And those 2, the barcode is on the back. So there is a very good chance. There is a higher than normal chance that it is sitting in someone's collection right now, not even knowing that it's a thing.
Yo,
they have a priceless Valiant comic sitting in their collection without knowing that it's in their collection.
Yo, Dinesh, why did you do that?
Dinesh likes the gimmick stuff.
Yo, I mean, honestly, like studying this whole run of like, this whole run that he had, like it just felt like it's so in his DNA to do everything he's doing a bad idea. It literally explains everything. It's so fun.
It's everything that he's done, just cranked up to 20 at bad idea.
Exactly. Cranked up.
So hey, Carl, can you pull that one back up?
Yeah, of course.
I was looking at that. So there's the Paulo cover, and then
the Brian Hitch. Those are the 2 that haven't been found.
It's not the pull box Brian Hitch one though.
It is.
It is.
It is.
Okay, I guess I'm just not. Yeah. Okay.
The Paulo is a pull box, and the Brian Hitch is a pull box. So I will occasionally, I will spend $5 and buy a random Paulo Unity #1.
Ooh, just to see.
To see maybe it's so I have bought, I think, 60 copies of Paulo's Unity #1 at this point.
Brother, you are a complete obsessed. I love it. I mean, West Coast Avengers, he has like, I don't know how many copies of Torok #1, right?
I'll have to look at the comic link.
Yes, you will. You will have to find that.
Yeah, this is the cover. That's the wraparound cover, the Brian Hitch cover.
Yep, that's you need the golden ticket, Jason.
Oh my god!
You have to.
I mean, I don't know. Do we want that golden ticket, or you want that? Wait, so the golden ticket redeems for that?
So you were able to redeem it for a tour of Valiant's headquarters at New York Comic Con 2014. And since 3 of the tickets were secured, 3 of the tickets were claimed, the other 7 were just given to random people at New York 2014. So they got to tour the headquarters at the time, and they got a bunch of swag and whatnot. Sure. So I'm missing the golden ticket for Paulo. But I have literally every other cover that he's ever done. And it's funny, I got to interview him on the podcast that I'm a part of a few years ago. Sure. And one of the things that I was talking about, because he has a lot of high incentive variants. I was like, do you get to decide like if they're an incentive variant? He's like, no, it's not up to me. And like, I only know that they're high incentive variants because of you. Because I tell him essentially. And so we've become pretty good friends. If you actually got his most recent newsletter that he just sent out last week, I'm name checked in it. So nice. If you want to follow the Rivera collection on Instagram, you get all the Paulo Rivera stuff you can imagine. Wow. I just post everything. My first commission ever by Paulo was this Divinity sketch cover. So it's an original sketch. It's signed by Warren Simmons, Matt Kint, and Dave Barron. So yes, this was my first ever commission by Paulo. It was the first time I ever met him. I was shaking in my boots because I was terrified. Wow.
So would that be the Grail from Paulo then? Like
no.
Oh,
So this is the Grail. This is the Grail. So funny story about this. I bought this last year at New York Comic Con, and now so many years removed from being a comic book manager, I'm now a massage therapist by trade. That is my day job. I'm a massage therapist. So I was saving every tip I got because I wanted to put it towards this.
Wow.
And I knew I wanted to put it towards this. And so gearing up for New York, like 2 months before New York, every tip I had, I set aside. 1 week before New York, my car gets totaled.
Oh no.
A U-Haul decided to move my car for me when I wasn't in it at 70 miles an hour. It was great.
Oh my gosh.
But I got a nice check right before New York.
Instead of buying a car, you bought your grill.
Yeah, so I got the original concept
Ooh.
art
Wow.
that Paulo did. So this is the
So good.
2016 run of EXO. Paulo
So
was
good.
asked to do 20 different armor designs. And
Damn.
of the 20 different armor designs, they didn't go with a single one of them. So none of these designs were used. But the
Wow.
amount of detail that he put into these is just absolutely insane.
Yeah, man. You got like 21 of ones on one board. That's cool.
Like, look at 19 and 20. Just look at those.
Yeah.
Like, oh my God. And so this was sitting on his website for 4 years. And I couldn't not get it. I needed to
You
get
had to
it.
grab
Being
it.
an EXO fan, being a Valiant fan. I know there's a someone who follows the Rivera collection has this as his background on his computer.
Oh, that's cool.
So like the fact that I have the original, I feel slightly bad about, but not that bad. But yeah, absolutely. I stare at this every day now, knowing how lucky I am to have this. In terms of other like Grail Valiant stuff, I just finished this at New York. So
Damn.
it is signed by Paulo and Joe. It's signed by Matt Kent. It just finished by getting it signed by Lemire. And
Nice.
it's signed by everyone at Valiant Entertainment. The only person I'm technically missing on this is Dinesh.
Wow. He was there. He was at running around Artist Alley.
I missed him, but
Okay.
yeah. So the only Valiant Entertainment person who was in the company at the time that this was published that hasn't signed this is Dinesh.
That's
So,
pretty cool. That's
yeah, I even
awesome.
got, you can see Adam right there. So
I'm so far behind on my Valiant sketchbook looking at that.
we'll get to the sketchbook in a minute. I got Mike Allred's one of my favorite artists of all time. This is a very hard to find variant. If I could get anyone to do a story arc of Shadow Man, it'd be Mike Allred, because I think he'd absolutely crush it. Everyone loves this cover, the Luis Rosa Divinity. Absolutely love this. And I know I'm the only one with this. It's signed by Raphael Grandpa and Lee Gabert.
Nice.
It's the 1 in 125 Shadow Man #5 variant. There is one other signature series 9.8, but it's signed by Justin Jordan.
Okay.
So,
wow. That's badass.
And then a few years ago, my wife asked me what I wanted for Christmas because she couldn't think of anything. And so I sent her the link to this. And I decided that I was going to make this my sketchbook. And when I decided to make this my sketchbook, I inspired someone else to make it their sketchbook. And so
matching sketchbooks. I felt left out now.
So my goal with this, now, Carl, you have not read The Valiant yet, have you?
I've not read The Valiant yet.
Okay.
And apparently in the chat, there's not a lot of people, like even here. We got Diego. I barely have any knowledge of Valiant other than what Jason talked about during his lives. I'm having a lot of fun with these shows. Please continue doing them. Very entertaining, informative. Yes. I'm glad.
So in The Valiant, I forgot to show off one more thing. And if I can do this. So right up there.
Okay.
One of the great things about Paulo's artwork is he keeps the inks and pencils separate because his dad inks the majority of his work.
Mm-hmm.
So that is page 12 and 13 of issue 4 of The Valiant. That's the inks of page 12 and 13 of issue 4 of The Valiant. And those are the colors of page 12 and 13 of issue 4 of The Valiant. Now, my dream was to get this page. When this page was previewed, I absolutely love this page. You can look at the colors. It's done so freaking well. And the thing that blew my mind about it is Paulo dates his work, and this was done on my birthday.
Oh, cool.
So
That's sick.
I had to get it.
What page is it?
Yeah, why the significance behind those pages?
Because if you read the Valiant, and this is going to be a minor spoiler, but
It's fine. I don't mind spoilers.
Kay and Ray in the final issue are walking through a mall, and if you're paying attention to the background when they're walking through the mall, they're going through all the stages of life. And this is when they like meet the end of that road, essentially, and the immortal enemy is closing in on them.
Okay.
But there's a page where Kay is crying, and her whole face is lit up, and then she looks down and starts crying. And then when she looks back up, only her eyes are glowing because of Ray's eyes.
Wow.
So it's that like final moment of desperation.
This one?
That's the page right before it. So I have that page as well, but the very next page is the one that I have.
So because you want one page, so how come you end up having both pages?
So this, I wanted this really, really bad, and a friend actually bought it for me, and then my wife got me this as our first Christmas gift together.
That's awesome.
So I actually didn't buy either of those pages, but I have them. They're
great wife.
Yes, she's wonderful, and she got me this.
Yeah, Horror Time. We are going to talk about Valiant every week. The weeks we can. I mean, last week we were at New York Comic Con, so we couldn't. But we will talk about this every week. And then Marcus was saying how Rivera wasn't going to trust anyone Valiant anymore because he did all those characters and they didn't use them.
Now I try my hardest to not be jealous. I want to just be proud of people for collecting what they collect and are happy with what they collect. But Jason, you have found the jealous bone in my body when you showed me that the other day.
Yeah. What is this? Talk to me about it. I don't know. I don't know.
That is the last page of the final page of issue 3 of the Valiant.
Woo, okay.
So in the Valiant, the immortal enemy is hunting the Geomancer, specifically Kay, and everyone is trying to stop him. And Bloodshot is the last stand, essentially. Everyone kind of gets just wrecked by the immortal enemy in the preceding issues.
Yeah, so the immortal enemy, which was I think a character from VH1.
He was, yes.
Yeah, and so
he is chasing the Geomancer down. So if you remember VH1, Geoff was the original Geomancer that we knew.
Yeah.
Well, wasn't
that's what I know. Yeah, VH1, that's what I know.
Wasn't there one before that? Matt?
Geoff's grandpa or uncle.
Yeah, Geoff's grandpa. That's who I was thinking.
Yeah. So, but I mean, as far as everybody knowing, it's Geoff because he's the one that pulled the teams together for Unity, and until the uncle that comes later, the one that you had the Rags Morales series for, the blind Geomancer.
Yeah. But, one of the cool things about the immortal enemy in VEI is he's always hunting the Geomancer, and he takes the form of their biggest fear. And for Kay, it was this character by the name of Mr. Flay, which is 100% a Jeff Lemire creation.
That's a cool character. I love that.
So yeah, he appears as Mr. Flay, and then he eventually opens up to appear as the immortal enemy. So every other time that Galad has failed, that's how Galad gets the scars on his face. In the
so is this the same Bloodshot, or is it a different Bloodshot altogether?
Different Bloodshot. It's Project Rising Spirit Bloodshot, so it's not the mobster Bloodshot. But
so when VH1 they borrowed the name Ray from that. His name was something different.
They continued the name VH1. Ray. It was an homage. Yeah.
So this is the one where he mentioned them in the fears. So this is the one where he goes, okay, I'm going to get your fears. And then he goes, wait a minute. You don't even have any memories. He goes, yeah, that little trick's not going to play on me. So blam, 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 and leaves him.
Him in the head.
and so when they're running, they're going to be running through the mall and going through all the stages of life. If you look at the background, they go through a nursery. They go through like a wedding section. They go through like a picture section. It's wonderful.
Yeah. So like in the story, Kay's looking for her hero, right? Her
white knight,
which is what Bloodshot is. There's a beautiful Paulo Rivera cover that is still for sale that I keep looking at. It's this one right here, where
Yes,
they're just
I know.
staring at each other.
Which
No.
is a homage in the page that I have.
Mm,
Mm-hmm.
So,
That's
but
pretty
in
cool.
the story of the
Fair enough.
Valiant, we are introduced to the new Geomancer, which is a minor spoiler, by the name of Tama. And Tama shows up with the Book of the Geomancer. And when she shows up with the Book of the Geomancer, she's the only one who can read the Book of the Geomancer. So if you were to look at the Book of the Geomancer, it's blank. So what my goal was to do is I was going to use this as a sketchbook, and I was going to get artists who I thought a 12-year-old girl would see specific characters as. So on my first page, if you guys want to read that.
Acclaimed Voyager. This tomb contains secrets of valiant heroes and vicious villains, of universes lost and worlds long gone. Keep it safe and away from the dark forces. And most importantly, remember, time is not absolute.
Absolute.
So do you see what I did?
Oh,
Did you see what I did there?
Claim.
Acclaimed Voyager.
Yeah, so I wrote that. I had someone
That's cool.
ink it for me because I can't. I have zero.
I was gonna say you have
artistic
great
ability.
handwriting, man. That's
No,
awesome.
no. So that was actually done by Ethan Young, who did this image. This is Tama.
I know
this is
Ethan.
the-
Ethan's a good guy. Great artist. Great
Ethan's
artist.
one of my really good friends.
Oh, wow.
So he did this for me, and he did the first page for me.
Okay,
And then I
nice.
got David Mack to do Shadow Man. And so
Nice.
I kind of would see like a 12-year-old girl never being introduced to Shadow Man before, kind of this mystical, not sort of finished image. I got Carrie Nord to do Exo, which you got Carrie Nord to do Bloodshot, right, Jason?
Yep.
You got to show off yours after this.
Yeah, we will. We'll go around. We'll go around.
V. Ken Marion, good friend of mine. He
Oh,
did
I like
Ninja.
Weekend. Yeah, we were. Sean was posting next to him at New York Comic Con
This year when he was
This year,
upstairs.
Yeah. Did you stop by upstairs?
Yeah,
Okay.
I didn't love their
Great
location because the lighting
Yeah.
was so weird. But yeah, V
Yeah, it
did
was
this for
weird
me
lighting.
last year at New York.
Yeah, that's great.
And yeah, 12-year-old girl, that's how she would see a ninja, right?
That's cool. That's
Um,
cool. It's very anime.
Bill Sienkiewicz,
Oh,
Master
alright.
Dark,
Wow.
which I was
Where
debating
was
whether
Bill? Where was he available to do a sketch? like
this was
that?
at New York last year.
Oh wow, great.
Yeah, New York last year.
That's cool.
And then a good friend of mine, he's The Collection on Instagram, Justin Emitter, Rexo Manowar, who Carl, you might not know who
I
Rexo
have
Manowar
no
is,
idea who Exo Man
but
was.
he is the villain in Secret Weapons.
Okay.
This next one is so this next one I had an opportunity
Hmm.
and I had to take it. Walt Simonson.
No way. What the heck?
His first work ever in comics was Magnus Robot Fighter.
What the f? Really?
So I got H8 by Walt Simonson.
Yo, that's insane. Was it one of those crazy lines you had to wait in? And
He was at a convention near me with no line.
What?
the F?
Absolutely no line.
Yo, I'm jealous.
Yeah. So he comes to this
Yes.
convention like once every 5 years.
What Marcus
So,
says.
Yeah.
Wow.
This next one was inspired by Jason because he got a really awesome piece by Stewart, and there's the
Wow.
immortal enemy.
Nice.
Just blown away by that. The next one is not finished. I can't show it off because it's by my
Okay.
friend.
Okay.
But then we have Divinity
Nice.
by Brian Sturflees. And then we've got Punk Mambo by
Okay.
Babs Tarr.
The
who
Valiant's
I-
first NFT was Punk Mumbo. By the
Yeah.
way.
I mean this with all the respect in the world. I would pay Babs Tarr money to step on me. And then finally, we got Vincent Van Gogh by Chip Zdarsky. I just got this done in New York for $20.
Nice.
I couldn't go wrong with that.
Wow.
Had I known Jeff Lemire was not charging, I would have gotten a blood squirt by Jeff Lemire. But
Wait, he's not charging. He was just sketching.
he was doing a quick sketches and he wasn't charging for it. And
Wow, that's cool.
I had ran out of money, so I didn't want to ask him. But yeah. So Jason, I inspired you to make this your sketchbook, and so now you have to show off your sketchbook.
All right, Jason, your turn.
All right. So let's see what we got here. All right. So I left the first page blank because I'm going to do something similar
Okay, got
with
it.
the wording. And so then this is Eternal Warrior by
New
Bo
Eternal
Hampton.
Warrior. Yeah.
That's
Wait, who is it?
beautiful.
Who did it?
Bo Hampton.
Bo Hampton.
Wow, that's great.
Yeah, and so the great thing about this, and Jeremiah, if you found the same thing, like everybody tries a different medium on this paper because it's like they don't know how to handle it. They want to try something different. It's kind of like probably Walt Simonson was with H8. It's like, how often do you get asked to draw certain characters, right? Let's try something different.
Can I pause you for 1 second?
Sure.
When I was getting Divinity done by Brian Sturflees, he was looking at the character on my phone and he started doing like a quick little pencil sketch. And then he got his ink pen out and he did one stroke of ink and he backed up from the book. He goes, whoa. And I'm just like, oh no, he's going to hate working on this. Is my immediate thought. I got fear because like, obviously the paper's a little weird. He goes, this is awesome.
That's great.
Just went to town on it.
Yeah, it's just a different challenge.
That's
now, this is a guy named Daniel Scott. Seen him at a lot of different conventions. Actually, I think he's out of Texas. But if you'll notice, it's candy wrappers.
Dude, that's so freaking cool.
I love how he did the symbol as well.
So this is Kerry Nord. So I actually paid for Kerry Nord a black and white, and he made the mistake of erasing it. And
which, if you erase on this paper, it turns white.
Yep.
So, is that what happened? Oh, that's kind of, it worked out though. It worked out.
Yeah, well, he felt bad, and so he's like, well, I'll fix it by doing watercolor. So I'm like, okay.
Wow.
Jeff Johnson, he was actually the first person. He didn't want to be earlier in the book. He said, just in case you don't like it. And this is like classic Exo armor. He's the artist that did the Exo cover to Exo Zero, the half, the wizard version.
Oh, the wizard half.
Yep. We got Bob Hall.
Can't go wrong with Bob on Shadow Man.
Yep. Bob is it. He's the
and so he said, which one you want? I said, well, I want the classic one. He goes, I don't like that one. That's why I changed it. Like,
so,
yeah, well,
I want to get Bob eventually to do Max in mine. I want Bob to do Max in mine. Oh man, this is
this is crazy.
Yeah,
Stuart. So, Stuart Sager, Dr. Eclipse went to town on it, and this is again one of those. He's like, I don't know who in the world that is, but you know, you could see his creative juices flowing in his head, and you know, he went to town on inking on that page there.
I think those two in our books complement each other so well.
yeah, for sure. This was Justin Mason. He's doing some spider stuff with. He did a Ninjak cover, which is what inspired me to ask him for Ninjak.
Nice.
But he's doing some Spider-Man stuff. This is Deegan Puchkors. I probably butchered his name, but he's an artist out of Atlanta, Georgia, and he did a rye for me. And then Anna Zuo.
This is the one with the hair and like it moves.
Roku,
right? I love
Roku.
that character. I love that character.
Yeah.
And so Ninjak's love interest there. We got Bart Sears.
Dude, Bart is so crazy.
I gotta get Bart. He's near me, so
yeah, he's a beast. And he doesn't hold back, dude. Like he's so consistent with his sketches.
Jim Calfore. And you know, Jim is like, for artist that's been around as long as he has, he's super reasonable.
He's fast too.
Yep. Fast, great rate.
And so I said, I want VH1 Spider Aliens. And then he goes, he said as soon as he started drawing it, it was like muscle memory. He said
that's awesome.
He said these things was the most ridiculous outfit. You got the pudgy belly and everything. And he said, but it's just like old times drawing them.
So Hoarder's Hide asked if you're gonna show this sketchbook on every show. No, dude, this is exclusive. In the future, you have to always tune back to this episode. In the future, it's only gonna be new sketches from the book.
Yeah, stay tuned. There'll be more this weekend. I'm going to Memphis. Ian Geist is gonna be there.
It's
from him. This is of course Sean Chen did a Spylock.
I was there. I witnessed this. Yeah, he loved it. The gun. Look at the gun.
Awesome. We got Tom Rainey.
Nice.
Doing Archer and Armstrong.
That's great.
And if I remember correctly, you said he only charged you for one character, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Because you can't do one without the other.
That's right. I mean, you can't. And that's all I got there. So, yeah,
Nice.
EM guys, Kyle Holtz, a couple of different people I've got some ideas for in Memphis. I'll be in Memphis Saturday. And, okay. So, yeah. So,
So welcome.
Somebody in the chat says that the candy wrapper artist here in Texas all the time. He's awesome. Yeah. Does some great, cool stuff. My kids liked him because he gave them free candy as long as he left the wrapper there.
So if you want your own Book of the Geomancer, it is on VALIANTstore.com.
Yep. And I'm going to add one to my cart right now. And then I feel a little left out with this whole Valiant Cup thing. So where did I get my Valiant Cup as well?
It's
I'm sure there's a drinkware section.
Yeah, there you go.
One of the other things that I want to do with this specifically is get them in the image that the way that I think Tama would see them. But any characters of color, I would like an artist of color to do it, and any female characters, I'd like a female artist to do it. That's my other goal for it. So I really wanted Brian Starfleet to do Divinity, and I'm really happy that he did Divinity. I wanted Babstar to either, I gave her the option of Punk Mambo, Dr. Mirage, or Roku, and she chose Punk Mambo. So
Dr. Mirage in the VE1 stuff, Carl, in case you didn't know, is actually it's the woman. Not
I saw
that.
Yeah.
So I want to get Bernard Chang to do the original Dr. Mirage.
Yes.
Like that. I wanted him to do it at New York, but I didn't have the money for it, unfortunately.
I really like that original costume design because it's literally like a ski outfit. Like
it's a ski outfit that he fucked, like he died during
he died in it, and that's what he looks like. And then I don't know, I just had the biggest crush on his wife.
Oh yeah.
Oh, Crazy Legs? Oh my god, yeah. She was a sexual awakening. You're right.
Yeah.
Well, they had this whole one issue that was like this whole ghost vibe, like Patrick Swayze to me.
I love
I was like, oh my goodness. But Valiant back in the day, they did a lot of that. You're sitting there reading it going, should I be reading this?
So the new Dr. Mirage, originally written by Jen Van Meter, back in the early days of Tumblr, I was chatting with her about it. And I was like, are you going to make a Crazy Legs reference? And she's like, what do you mean? I was like, oh, in the original Dr. Mirage run, that's what Shay calls his wife, is Crazy Legs. So in issue 3, she makes a reference to Crazy Legs.
That's hilarious.
So
you plugged it in there.
I was able to kind of convince her.
All right, so my turn. I'm gonna show off my sketchbook. So this was totally before meeting you guys. I was doing this in a bit of a vacuum. But I love Valiant, so I want to do something like that basically spoke into the OG Valiant universe by OG Valiant artists.
Did you do the lettering on that?
I did not. My friend David Chang did that. He's a calligrapher, but I did not understand. It's total of ignorance. I did not understand how hard this task was going to be because literally every con I get maybe one at most.
I aim for 2. But I settle for 1.
Yeah. So the other thing I did was
Fred on there.
Yeah, I started getting signatures. I started getting guys to sign because I realized, you know what, I'm not gonna get everyone to want to sketch on this. And specifically it was Jim Shooter because I met his agent and his agent was, oh yeah, he'll sketch on this. Gave it to him. Jim said he didn't want to do it. I was like, oh man, I saw him next time. I was like, hey, I know your agent said couldn't do it last time, but you did not. He's like, no, I don't want to do it. So I think next time, once I met Fred, I was like, oh, Fred, you sign it? And then I was a light bulb. I was like, okay, I'm just going to have Jim sign it next time.
Did you guys see Fred at Baltimore? I was walking around with Fred.
I think it was Baltimore. I think he came by Sean Chen's table and I pulled this out. And then he signed it. Wait, maybe you were there. I don't know. Were you there?
I was there, yeah.
That's hilarious. So we totally met before. So, all right, so Jen. Actually, Bob Hall. Bob Hall was number 1 because same as you, I have a big love for Shadow Man.
Oh my god!
He did a DPS Shadow Man for me to kick it off with.
That is amazing.
Yeah, I love Dark.
I love the Sandra in the back.
Yes. It's funny. He threw Sandra in there. I think I only asked for 2 characters.
It's because he wanted draw a female. That's the reason.
I think so. But I really love this. And then it's strange, but Jim California said he asked me. I don't know why when I gave it to him. He's like, what do you want? I was like, your choice. And he's like, well, I don't want to draw anything that I'm known for, so can I just do whatever I want? I was like, go for it. And then he came back with Bloodshot and Rye, which I thought was very interesting because he's typically
I
done
like the Future Force version of Rye as well. Like that's a nice touch.
So I thought it was pretty fun. And then it took me a while, but the next one was Bart Sears.
Jeez.
And he went crazy on this kind of Unity moment, or post-Unity moment, which was pretty awesome.
The benefit that you have is you can get a lot more detail in that sketchbook than we can get in ours.
I think so. I noticed that because it's so big, folks just kind of go into
also
it.
The paper quality.
Yeah, and then I think it's like a thicker quality. And then Kevin Van Hook, who he did a mini story in the recent relaunch.
Yeah, in the Bloodshot Red, White, and Black or Red.
Yeah,
White,
the new one. Yeah, Red, White, whatever. And then it's kind of cool because I realized a lot of the guys who are writers or known as editors, they all draw as well. And so when you ask them if they were down to draw, they're really down. Yeah, that page, that thing right there. So it's kind of cool. He asked me who my favorite characters are. Oh, Eternal Warrior. And then he's like, of course. I was like, draw whoever you have attachments to. And obviously, Bloodshot and Ninjak are his guys. And then this is cool. There's Will Quintana, and he's a colorist at Valiant. But I asked him, I was like, why do you draw? He's okay. What do you want? And I was like, up to you. And then he chose Magnus. And
that's
what was
pretty
really
awesome
cool,
that he chose Magnus.
Yeah, what was cool was when Kevin did his pen here, there was a lot of bleed through. And so he actually used the kind of the robot as like the cover for the bleed through.
That is awesome.
So I thought it was really smart of him.
That is dope.
And then Juan Doe, he did Archer and Armstrong for me because I guess he did a lot of covers recently. But since he was kind of back at Valiant back in the day in production, I kind of count him as a OG.
Yeah, he's an OG. You're allowed to.
So that's my sketchbook.
All right. So I asked Jason this the other day, and of course he fucking threw Hail Marys out. If you could get any artist in that book, who do you want?
I guess I don't. I don't know.
Because Jason said Barry Windsor.
Oh, me? Oh,
Yeah,
for sure. Barry Windsor Smith, 100%. Like that.
Yeah.
No, the first 2 pages are saved for him. I let it open because I
what
want Barry
what are
Windsor.
your other 2 wishes when you finally meet that genie? Like holy shit.
I'm hopeful. I feel like one day I'm somehow gonna run into him and at a coffee shop somewhere, and he's going, "Hello, I'm Barry Windsor
Move to
Smith."
New York. Move to New York. So
Yeah.
one of my dreams, obviously there's a million stores that do exclusive variants nowadays, and being such a huge Paulo fan, if I ever get to have my own store and I ever get to do my own store exclusive, I would homage this, but with Valiant characters.
That's
And
cool.
I would want Tama reading the Book of the Geomancer with the immortal enemy like busting out behind, similar to how this is. But I'd want it to like rip the page, and in the edges of like the rip, I would want you to see this.
That's cool.
I would want you to see just floating red boots.
That's cool.
And then I'd want you to see a bow and an arrow, but you wouldn't be able to make out that it's Solar, Magnus, and Turok. I wanted to just be like tongue in cheek, because obviously we're never going to get them back. Divinity was kind of the replacement for Solar, Savage the replacement for Turok. But yeah, read Divinity if you haven't read Divinity yet.
I haven't read that either.
Fantastic.
No, I'm not diving into these books. I just gotta find time. But I am going on a trip in November, so when I'm there, I'm gonna on the plane. I'm gonna just download everything and just have it. So next time when we come back, maybe a few times from now, I'll be all caught up, and then we'll dive into Actually, why is it called VH1 versus VE1? Like,
so it's VE1 because it's Valiant Entertainment. So
Not
VH1
Entertainment
was like Volume 1 or Voyager. So the way that my brain says it is Voyager, Acclaimed, and Entertainment is the way that my brain has broken it up.
got
So
it. Okay.
VH is Valiant Heroes 1.
Okay.
And then Acclaim is Valiant Heroes 2, VH2.
VH2, and then there's
It's VEI. What is the I?
Yeah,
VI,
I don't know.
Valiant Entertainment 1. Okay, got it.
Yeah.
Okay.
But I don't know. I don't know if there's technically like an Alien now. Is it VE2? You know, I don't know about that. But
yeah, that's true. Alien would be V3 then, no? Because there was a V2 because there was a moment.
Yeah, when Dinesh left and DMG came on and tried to murder.
Oh, so bad. I read some of those. It was so, oh my God.
I also have this. I forgot to show this off.
Yeah, very 90s too. Very 90s.
I have a Valiant tape dispenser.
I need one of those too. But I mean, that concludes our show and tell. I mean, Jason, did you have any pickups before we kind of wrap up?
Well, I do have one huge page.
Okay. Here goes.
Well, actually,
here goes.
Let me show a comic. We got to stay true to the roots.
Okay.
So I think this one was one Brian showed behind him, and it's one of the rarer giveaway promotional comics that Valiant did back in the day. This is the Cheezosaurus Rex.
Oh my God!
Whoa! What the heck? I don't know what the heck I'm looking at.
That is the second ever Valiant book ever. Period.
Is that what it is?
Ever?
What?
Yes.
So there's another one that's easier to get, and there was one I've been watching forever on eBay.
Is that the SpaghettiOs one?
No, the Spaghetti one. Those ones is tough too. But no, I've been watching one of these forever. I've got a blue one. That's a Cheezosaurus Rex. It's got a blue background with him on there. But yeah, so I picked this up. I'm gonna get it. I guess get it graded. But so there's that, and then of course.
Heck. Oh my God!
Death of
is freaking crazy.
And you got that from Dan, right?
Yep.
Wow. I know we were talking about this too. I was at Barnes and Noble. I get this call from this guy, and he's like, "Man, what do you think?" And you know what I said? I don't remember, Jason. I was like, "You are the Rye guy, man. You have Southern Comic Geek in the font of Rye and the Future Force. This belongs in your collection." So congratulations.
Well, yeah, and so like we were talking about earlier, like who's bad influencing on who. You know, I'm looking for Carl to say, "Man, you've been spending so much money on art. You really just need to kind of lay low a little bit."
Because I'm a good friend, I will never say such things. But, hey, man, I don't want to be the guy where, like, 5 years from now, I'm the guy who told you not to get it, and then you'll be like, "Carl, you told me not to get it."
Yeah, dude, I had it in your grasp.
That's the worst feeling ever, because you hear about all these old timers, right? What they always say is like they never regret anything they bought; they regret what they didn't buy. And so.
I have a dear friend who walked into a comic book store. If I say the year, I'll give it away immediately. But he walked into a comic book store, and the owner had this new comic out on like the corner. He's like, "You should buy that." And he picks up 5 copies of this comic, looks at it, and goes, "This is a fucking newspaper," and puts down the 5 copies of TMNT #1.
What the hell?
And he didn't buy it.
Oh man.
So yeah, 1984. Yeah, but yeah, Valiant. More people need to read Valiant.
Yes, I agree.
Thank you guys so much for letting me be on this. This has been
Jeremiah. Thanks for making it on the show, man. I mean, it's awesome, and we'll definitely have you back because I think Jason and I are having a blast with this. And
I would love to come back eventually. Yeah, and we could do like a whole town hall, like Valiant thing eventually. So
we should. Should we do a holiday party, Jason, and maybe get all the Valiant guys in here and just do a
very Valiant Christmas?
Yeah. I like that.
Well, talk about the very Valiant Thanksgiving, and I think he owns the Christmas one too. You know, there's a guy on Comic Art Fans, John. He owns that page. He outbid me on eBay for it. It's an advertisement, in-house ad for a Thanksgiving meal with all the Valiant characters. But he's a huge Eternal Warrior fan. He goes by Gilead.
Yes, I know who you're talking about. Yeah. There's that preview, the Solar preview. With Barry Windsor Smith artwork where Phil's taking the glasses off. Like it's a postcard preview. I've been dying for one of those forever.
Wow.
I think you have one, Jason.
He got one, and I agree.
I can't. No, you just said you just said Barry Windsor Smith. I do have some Barry Windsor Smith art.
Oh, God.
Nice.
So this is from the first appearance of Ivar the Time Walker. There he is,
Okay.
right there.
So good.
And,
Was that the actual first appearance panel?
No.
Okay. Is that issue though, right? When he shows up.
Yep.
When they're doing the whole Three Musketeer thing, right?
Yeah.
Eternal Warrior 8, and it flips over to Archer and Armstrong number 8 as well.
Cool.
And yeah, I mean, it was weird because I was just kind of randomly searching on CAF, and you know how they will show eBay things. This was eBay out of Canada.
Oh, that's weird.
And so I actually benefited from American money being worth more in one country at least. And so I was able to pick that up. So
you're doing Memphis next week. You're doing OAX in January. Carl.
Well, actually, I'm doing.
I'll be there, OAX.
Oh,
for
sorry,
sure.
Jason.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, no, I was going to say I'm going to be at the Collectors Summit the following weekend, which is in Dallas, and so that's a show that's at Heritage, and it's Heritage gives you a tour or whatever, I think, but basically it's like dealers like big boy books like Golden Age, rarity stuff, and art, and so I'm going to go for that, and then yes, OAX. Carl, you said you were going to be at OAX too.
I'll be at OAX, but it's interesting. The whole collector
potentially gonna be at OAX. We'll see.
You should come.
I'm in the middle of buying a house,
yeah.
So it depends on how that goes. It's also my birthday during OAX, so
there you go.
Maybe I can.
It'll be fun. It'll be fun. We'll do a little birthday celebration for sure.
Hey, we could do a Valiant panel down there too.
I mean, there's enough artists: Bob Layton, Paulo.
Dude, Jeremiah, they should give you commission for the amount of because I'm about to buy one right now. Like,
Jay, you got to show yours off. If I inspired you to buy one, you got to show yours off.
Well, and you know the funny thing about that was that where was I at? Was it Dallas this year? Either Dallas or Heroes Con. There was a vendor that was selling one of these.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it was just like random. I'm like, what? I guess they bought it and decided not to use it, but it was still in the the hard box that it comes in.
Yeah,
that's cool.
Yeah, if you do this as a sketchbook, I took the hinge off. Jason kept his hinge on. My hinge is hiding over here. I will put it back on one day. I just want to get it gold plated first. Also, Stuart, I don't know if Stuart told you or not, but he suggests that you go through this side for the screws because they keep falling out on mine. So I'm going to do that next time I put them back in. So
good to know. I just placed my order, guys. So I have my Valiant book, my book of Geomancer, and my Valiant cup. I got the yellow one because I think you guys have different colors too, right?
Uh-huh.
Yeah,
I got to show that off. Yeah, I have purple, and you have classic red.
Classic red. I will have the Asian yellow.
Oh God.
Yeah, dude. Jeremiah's definitely getting commission, but Jeremiah, thank you so much for making time for this. I look forward to these streams, man. So
thank
Jason,
you.
we'll talk about next week.
I was anxious as all hell because it's not often that I get a geek out about Valiant. So I didn't know how much I'd explode in a way, but
So go ahead and plug your podcast, Jeremiah.
Yeah, please do that.
Every week, me and my friends on a podcast called Panaloids. We discuss comic book news and everything that's been going on with comic books in the week. Discuss the TV shows that are out with that, our local pickups. We do an indie introspective. So if you have a indie book that you want reviewed by us, you can email panaloids@gmail.com. I'm the one that does the indie introspective, and we'll give you a shout out on the show. So that's Panaloids live every Wednesday at 7:00 Eastern. My personal Instagram is the Rivera Collection. Well, that's my public personal Instagram, where everything is Paula Rivera essentially. I do post other pickups, like whenever I get a new sketch in the Book of the Geomancer, I will post it there. And so I highly suggest you follow that and just buy Valiant and buy more comic art and support everything that you can and collect what you love and give Jason and Carl all the love for doing this every week. It's fantastic. Getting to watch the other 2 episodes was a lot of fun. And I can't wait to see what else you guys do with this. 24/7 Comics has got quite a presence on Kickstarter as well, correct?
We're working really hard. I'm very proud of the team. The team's been killing it. So
And being a guy that's obsessed with enamel pins, that thing you posted, damn it, like son of a bitch.
Appreciate any support, any and all support, and the community has been so great so far. And I think for us, thinking back to Valiant days, I just always remember looking forward to reading the next Valiant book. And so our hope is that people actually read our books and enjoy them, and it'll be fun. It's I think it's some of our creators' best work, so I'm super excited about that as well. Jason, anything you want to plug before we head out?
No, I'll be in Memphis. I'll probably go live on IG at some point this weekend and be showing off some cool stuff over there. That's all I've got.
Great. And 247comics.com. We just launched a store, as Jeremiah said, and we got the Evermind collection that just dropped. So thank you, everyone, for the support. And if you haven't done so yet, subscribe below and comment and like this video so we could do more. And for YouTube, please stay on while we upload our recordings. And everyone, thank you.
Thank you.
Bye. The next time, here's my virtual Valiant cup. Yellow logo. Good night, guys.